Hello, my sweet friends. Welcome back to 101 A to Z Creative Events. Today's session is about acrylic floral painting in one stroke deco art style. And this is lesson number 2. I am your host, Shurma Chaudhary. I am an MPhil in physics by education and a paper crafter and a fine artist by passion turned into my profession. If you have been with me in session 1 of acrylic floral painting in one stroke deco art style, in that case, we already know each other and we have met. And it gives me immense pleasure to have you back again. Now, in lesson number 1 of acrylic floral painting in one stroke deco art style, I had given a brief introduction to the style of painting, and I had already shared some floral and leaf strokes with you, and with those I had also done a demonstration project for you, although it was very basic, but I had tried to use the strokes which I shared with you in lesson number 1. Now in this session, that is lesson number 2, I would be sharing some advanced leaf and floral strokes with you, and I will also be giving you an idea of a new technique which will make your floral painting more gorgeous. Alright. Now, before I go on to the drills of the floral and leaf strokes of today's session, I would like to share with you the materials for today's demonstration project as well as the drills. Now, I will be using Fabrica colors. These are all acrylic colors. I'll be using orange, mauve, purple, white and yellow for the florals, deep green, olive and bamboo green for the leaves. And I will be using flat brush number 6. Okay, and I will be using a liner brush. This flat brush is camlin rather, and the liner brush is by Brustro. They're all wonderful brushes and they make my life so easy. Now for the project, the demonstration project, I would be using this light purple piece of watercolor paper, and this is 250 GSM and it has a lovely texture, and we'll be working with this paper for the project. Now before I go on to the drills of the leaf and flower strokes, I would like to share something with you, and that is, for any kind of painting, be it floral painting or any other kind, if we have a background to the painting, it makes a huge difference to the overall image. Why background? What does it really do? So if we create a background, for example, I'm taking a floral painting, then it pushes the actual image to the foreground. Now what does foreground mean? Foreground means it pushes it to the front. So if you have a background to a floral image, it enhances the painted image much more as compared to a floral image without a background. But then it is totally up to you which one you would prefer. It is all about your own choices, but I will show you what a background does to a painting. And that you will see in a bit when I do the demonstration project for you. So let's dive into it. We will start with the drills first and then go on to the demonstration project. Now these are advanced one-stroke floral strokes. I'll be using acrylic colors orange, olive and white and a flat brush number 6. The first one is Basic Wiggle 1. I load the brush with orange and white. This is blending the colors. This is how it looks. So Basic Wiggle 1. Place the brush on the chisel end on the paper. Curve and back to chisel end. Chisel, curve, chisel. Once again, Basic Wiggle 1. You place the flat brush on the chisel end on the paper, curve and back to the chisel end. Next stroke is Basic Wiggle 2. Loading the brush again, chisel, then curve, chisel, curve, chisel and curve again. So this is Basic Wiggle 2. Once again, Basic Wiggle 2. So we can continue the wiggles. The third stroke, Basic Shell Stroke. Basic Shell Stroke. This is a very useful floral stroke. So you can see I have marked 2 chisel ends. So I go from one end to the other with wiggles. Chisel, then wiggle, wiggle and wiggle and back to the chisel end. Next one is Reverse Basic Shell Stroke. Mark the 2 chisel ends for the stroke and then wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Once more, Reverse Basic Shell Stroke. Next is Slider Wiggle. Slider Wiggle. Loading the brush again. Chisel end on the paper. Wiggle, wiggle, and then slowly go taper down to the chisel end. Almost like a leaf. There you go. That was slider wiggle. Next is C stroke. Chisel end on paper and a deep C and back to the chisel. Once again, chisel end on paper, a deep C and back to the chisel. It can be up or it can be down. So this is your C stroke. Now with these C strokes, we will make the next stroke, and that is called the bud stroke. A very useful stroke. That is the top C stroke, the down C stroke. You see, when you combine them, you get a bud. Once again, top C stroke and the bottom C stroke creates a bud. Petal stroke. They are all wiggles, and the shape depends on the shape you want to portray for a particular flower. So once again, we'll just go through the strokes. Basic wiggle 2, basic shell stroke, reverse basic shell stroke, slider wiggle, C stroke, bud stroke, and the petal stroke. Alright, so now we are doing leaves, one stroke style. These are the advanced strokes. First, flat brush number 6. I'll be using deep green and white, loading the brush and blending the colors. First stroke is slider. Slider stroke for the leaf. Chisel end on the paper and just slide it to the taper end. Once again, chisel on the paper and slide to the taper end. Next, slider cluster. A cluster of slider leaves. There you go. Once again. Now the next one is slider wiggle 1. That is your chisel end on the paper and then wiggle, wiggle, wiggle and back to the taper end. Chisel, then wiggle, wiggle and back to the taper. That is slider wiggle 1. Okay. The next one is slider wiggle 2. That is chisel end on paper, wiggle, wiggle and taper. From the taper, come back to the same end from where we started with wiggles. That is your slider wiggle 2. Now a large wiggle leaf 1. Very similar to slider wiggle 2, but it is larger. So make larger wiggles. Alright, so that is a large wiggle leaf. Big wiggles we have to make in order to make the leaf large. Once again. There you go. Next is large wiggle leaf. Large wiggle leaf 2. Here I have just interchanged the colors when I go to the right side of the leaf as compared to the fifth one, that is large wiggle leaf 1. See how much of a difference it makes. Just interchange the colors. There it is. Next one, long leaf bent. That is your chisel end on paper. Just slide it and then see how I make the bent part. Once again, there you go. The last one is the fern. Very thin slider leaves on a stem. I'm sliding backwards. So there you go. Leaves, one stroke style. We are just going through once again. First one is slider, slider cluster, slider wiggle 1, slider wiggle 2, large wiggle leaf 1, large wiggle leaf 2, long leaf bent, and finally the fern. So now I will be making a demonstration project for you in which I will be painting pretty pansies in one stroke deco art style. I begin by creating a background on a watercolor paper which is light purple in color, and it is 3 inches and 6.5 inches in size. For the background, I am using a flat brush number 6, purple color and white color, both acrylics. As I had said earlier, creating a background for a painting enhances the look of the final image. Here this is an ombre background, that is going from dark to light. So at the bottom of the paper you will see dark purple which is moving towards a mid-tone and finally to white. So this is called an ombre background. Now we'll start with painting the florals. I have mauve, purple and white on my palette and flat brush number 6. In the beginning, I am loading the brush with mauve and white, and here I am blending the colors well. I will keep the purple color for later, and you will see how in a bit. Now these are the pansies in the making. I am using floral shell strokes over here, the basic shell stroke. Now I am doing the flowers partly and later I will overlap with another color. Please follow me as I paint. You will understand everything very clearly. That is a space for the third flower. I am only doing half of the flower right now. These are all basic shell strokes. Here there's a fourth flower which is not very visible. So the bottom part does not occupy much space here because it will be overlapped by the first flower. Now I go back to the palette, pick up some white and purple and blend the colors well. Okay. Shell stroke once again. You can always go over a previously painted part if you're not happy. Acrylic paints are very forgiving. I'm still continuing with the basic shell stroke. So both the forward and the reverse one are used while doing the pansies. Sometimes I'm doing from the top, sometimes from the bottom. Now I will complete the flowers with the final petal in place. There you go. That completes one pansy. The second one. See how it is overlapping the previous flower? You need to have an idea of the placement of the flowers, because here everything is on the spot at the spur of the moment. So you need to have an idea or a plan how you're going to place the flowers in the painting. So that was the third flower. Now the fourth one. There it is. I'm just correcting the shape over there because I was not happy with how it was looking. Yeah, that is good enough. Now we'll make a bud over there. So now I will be using the bud stroke. You can twist and turn the paper in whichever direction you are comfortable with. So there you go, you can see the bud stroke in action. This is the bud stroke but with a slight wiggle. Yes, isn't that nice? And that's a stray petal at the side of the bud. Now it's time to paint the foliage. I have olive green, bamboo green, deep green and white for the leaves on my palette. I'm loading the brush with bamboo green, a bit of deep green and olive sometimes, and adding a dash of white acrylic. I start with the large leaves. This is the large wiggle leaf number 1. These are the large wiggle leaves. The wiggle leaves almost look real, don't they? I never tire of painting them. They're so beautiful. Alright, another place for a leaf. Now, where to place the leaves and what shape to give it depends on your choice and judgment. These are all large wiggle leaves 1 and 2. Here you will see the turn in the leaf, the folded part of the leaf. Please follow me as I make the fold. There you go. That's a folded leaf. Another leaf over there. That's large wiggle leaf 1. Those are the tiny slider leaves at the neck of the flower bud. I'm still using flat brush number 6. That's the stem and some more slider leaves. They're very thin and small. And I'm using the same brush, mind you. Some more slider leaves from here. If you want to make the leaves a bit lighter, add more of white. Slide the leaves again. See, I've added more of white, so the leaves have become lighter now. So I have picked up the liner brush and some bamboo green to make the veins and the stems. I make them very light, like visible but not visible, sort of. Those are the unruly vines which stick out from the end of the leaves. This is acrylic golden yellow and I am picking it up on my liner brush, and I'll be doing the flower centers. Now I'll be doing the folds of the top 3 petals of each flower. So I'm back to flat brush number 6 and I have picked up acrylic white and purple. Those are the folds of the top 3 petals of each flower. So that brings us to the close of Pretty Pansies in one stroke deco art style of painting. You will also get to see the pretty pansies without a background and you can see the difference for yourself. Hope you enjoyed this lesson of acrylic floral painting in one stroke deco art style. Please connect with me on my social media handles and I would be very happy to help you with your queries. Thank you so much and keep creating. See you very soon. Bye-bye.